Welcome to the Aquinas Wealth Advisors first quarter market update. Lots to talk about today. I'm joined by Greg Dukes, Executive Vice President, Will McMahon, Director of Equity Selection, and lots of stuff going on, lots to talk about. I think the first thing out of the gate we have to tell our clients about is the Vatican came out. Will, you could speak to this a little bit. The Vatican came out with some new indexes, which are I think good news, but can you give us a little bit more on that, please?
The Vatican Bank, in partnership with Morningstar, launched launched two new indices geared towards both U.S. and Eurozone investing. These indices are described by the Vatican Bank and Morningstar as Catholically aligned.
Yeah.
While we think this is a great step in the acknowledgement and the growing need for Catholically aligned investing, it's the view of Aquinas Wealth that these indices just don't go quite as far.
Yeah, not there yet, right? They haven't told us all the 50 stocks. There are 50 stocks in each index. These aren't available for sale yet. These are just guidelines. But they did say something. They said these things are fully compliant with the teachings of the church. And we always talk about the difficulties, and this is new to the Vatican. So when it comes to screening, it's new, right? It's complicated, Greg. But we always talk about it's tough to know how high is up, maybe. Is that a fair way?
Very fair way to say it. The interesting thing that we're going to see coming out of these indices,
Yes.
to yours and Will's point exactly, is what companies are being used in here, what companies are being used in the U.S. index versus the Eurozone index.
Yes.
And what passes our testing criteria as it moves forward.
So even if something doesn't pass our criteria today, which a lot of it doesn't, some of the companies they mentioned really don't. The ones they came out with first, they don't pass our testing, nor do they pass any really rigorous Catholic testing, in our opinion. But it's a good first step. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. We think the acknowledgement by the Vatican that these types of products are in demand is absolutely a huge step, and we expect further iterations. And for the folks who want to be Catholically aligned, there's obviously some other products out there.
Absolutely. That's a great way to think of it. So we'll do our best to help our friends at the Vatican do a little bit better with their testing. We certainly don't want to people. Some of the companies they name, the only 3 or 4 they name, I think are some of the biggest providers or marketers of pornography in the industry. Is that right? I mean, so I think again, I always think about it when the way I describe it to people is I say, if I told my wife Molly that I was going to clean the kitchen, I certainly clean the kitchen. I do. But it's when she cleans the kitchen, it's a completely different standard, right? Different cleaning. I think we all have that. It's true. So, and most people want to eat out of the kitchen that Molly cleaned, not the kitchen that Chris cleaned. So I think that's what we're talking about here. So the great news is, good first step of the Vatican. We salute them for that. We think that's a wonderful first step. The Vatican Bank, we know the Vatican Bank has had many, many foibles over the years, but we're praying for them. And good first step. And over time, hopefully these things will turn into something that is of value, and we're excited about that. Does that seem to make sense?
Very much so. And this continues to be a continuation, as Will so accurately described, of showing the people that they're hearing the need for Catholic.
Yes.
And that's where this is deciding.
Well, I think that's so true. The Vatican came out with this big paper a couple of years ago, Monsignor Bonum. They had a great conversation around it, but there was no actionable items.
Correct.
And it's difficult. They're in a tough spot. They have to do it for the whole world.
Yes.
So it's very difficult. But I think at the end of the day, technology exists today to allow us to screen out any companies giving money to pro-abortion organizations.
Correct.
Any companies in the business of pornography or distributing pornography, and another thing, anything of the dignity of the human. Those tools exist, so we encourage people to either find Aquinas Wealth Advisors or work with some advisor who hopefully can get them there, or use some of the resources that are available in the marketplace. Also, always a good place to plug our book. If people would go to Amazon and buy the Faithful Finances, which is a book that I wrote, Chris McMahon, along with Greg. And that book really showed people, they always say, plug your book whenever you get a chance. So this seems like a chance. So if you go to Amazon, buy Faithful Finances, that'll help people build a Catholic aligned plan, or certainly they can go on to AquinasWealth.com. But we're excited about what's happening. We're excited about that. But let's turn our attention to the market. Will, can you give us where the market's been this year? It's kind of surprised us so far, hasn't it, a little bit?
When we sit here this afternoon on Thursday, February 12th, the S&P so far this year is up 70 basis points. Interestingly, the Russell 2000 is up twice that, 5.7% for the year. This is really a further evidence of what we've been speaking about for coming up on 6 months now.
But we've been telling our clients we're waiting for this broadening out to happen to get away from the Magnificent Seven. So this is what we kind of predicted to some degree.
Absolutely. We think about what's been in the tech leadership for the last 36 months, that we're really starting to see, other sectors and parts of the economy really start to participate, which is exactly what we had expected going into this year.
So how do we feel, Greg? How do you feel broadly? I think we feel pretty good about last year, certainly. We feel, and this year we were thinking a market adjustment was going to take place. We've modified our outlook, haven't we?
We have, and especially the new Fed chair, Chris, is going to bring a big piece of that into question as we continue to monitor the inflation numbers moving into the second part of 2026. But how quickly does this gentleman cut rates? How does that impact our society from an inflationary and unemployment standpoint?
Yes.
And where do interest rates go from here? Those are big things that we're watching with this new Fed chair being put into.
He's a Trump guy, so Will, I assume we're expecting to see some rate cuts. Is that fair? We've been calling for 2. Does that still seem a fair number to you?
Absolutely. I think President Trump is going to get his rate cuts one way or the other. There was some consternation at the announcement of Kevin Warsh, thinking that he is quite more hawkish than people thought. But I think the market is, a week on now, is coming around to the idea that he will be very sympathetic to rate cuts, and I think absolutely 2, if not more, later this year.
So as we look at this going forward, we see the market broadening out. We've taken action to support that at Aquinas Wealth Advisors, certainly. Market broadening out. We don't see a big adjustment anytime soon. And we think we salute the Vatican for this first attempt, and we're excited to see the second and third iterations of this as they hopefully will fine-tune their searches criteria much more.
Exactly right.
So with that in mind, we'll pray that God continues to bless you. And if we have helped you at Aquinas Wealth Advisors, please find us at aquinaswealth.com. Thank you.